Time. Tonight's challenge is Another Ticket by Eric Clapton. 9 tracks, 9 Yahtzee games. Each game has to outscore the song's length in seconds, and all of them combined have to beat the full album runtime. No solos, no shortcuts, just the dice, a ticking clock, and the long way home. Again, welcome. So this is a new series that I have conceived where we're literally going to take well-known albums, or at least known albums. I don't know how well-known any of these are necessarily going to be. I mean, Eric Clapton, we know who he is. We're still waiting on that Tears in Heaven sequel. But we're going to take these and we're going to go track by track in order and try to beat these song lengths. If you remember Late Night Yahtzee from last year, this is kind of a spiritual sequel and follow-up. And I would like to give a shout-out to the fantastic Me vs. Me Yahtzee YouTube channel and creator for encouraging and inspiring me to come out of Yahtzee retirement and start putting videos back on YouTube. I urge you to check that channel out and all of its content. It is fantastic. Does a much better job at entertaining people than I'm going to do. Plus, he's actually using a real Yahtzee physical copy of the game, which brings a whole new dynamic to it. Very cool. If you're into like pro wrestling and stuff, I think he does a really good job with all that. Just the references, the intro music, the pomp and circumstance. I could go on and on about this, but this is really a day about Eric Clapton's album, Another Ticket. So let's get started. I have Yahtzee Master version 1.47 by the famous James Garton here. Find that at your leisure or at your own peril. Be aware of viruses. It needs a pretty old version of Java to run, but we're going to get started. Just so you know, my goal is to try to, score these all evenly. So what I mean by that is you see in the top right alongside the album title and cover, we have a little chart, which has the total album runtime in seconds. And also the count of the tracks, as well as a Yahtzee Frenzy thing. So I'll just quickly explain these. I've normalized all of these on a scale of 1 to 100 or 0 to 100, which I often like to do. And my goal is to hit 100 points. So 50 of those points I will get, no more than 50 from achieving the cumulative goal. I can get up to 30 points for beating each individual song. And I can get up to 20 points for getting up to 13 Yahtzees throughout this entire video. And that number will change depending on the album length and how many tracks it has. So let's get started. It's been a little while. I have been busy, full house, recording other videos the last few weeks, as you may have seen if you've been on this channel. Very nice sixes there. That would include the Ballatro License to Deal, which has taken up most of my recording time, and then more recently, This Old Doom. So I figured we'd get something a little bit more relaxed. Not that recording those tend to stress me out so much, but they are somewhat demanding. It's easy for me to get frustrated, especially during Doom when I have half the video recorded it and die, even though I've made the game super easy for myself in a lot of ways. So it's always nice to come back to a familiar classic. There's our first Yahtzee. Awesome. Let's go ahead and put that right there. That's going to get us some points. Yes, I am using Microsoft Excel. Get over it. But it is nice to come back to an old classic like Yahtzee, which is a game that to me never gets old. I can't say enough good things about it. And I think that it should be a bigger game than it is as far as its widespread popularity. This is turning into a really good-looking Yahtzee card here, but I do need a 1 come out. There we go. So yeah, an optimal Yahtzee score, I think, is somewhere around... Oh, we missed that small straight. That's okay. It's somewhere around about 254, 255 points. No small straight. That's rare for me, by the way. But I kind of consider 250 a good average score. So we're going to put in the total here. On the bottom, you see the actual tracks of the album, which, I'll get into a little bit. But we've beaten one. You can see down there, it turned green. Yay for us. and we get credit up top for beating a song. And our total currently out of 100 is 10.42 points. I'm assuming I did math these out right. That looks like it. All right, let's continue on. Second here, I'm putting my high score in. I've listened to all of Eric Clapton's albums at one point, except for maybe like one or two of the newest ones. I kind of challenged myself to do this about 7-8 years ago. I don't really know why, but just felt like something I wanted to do. My thoughts on it kind of like are, he's very talented, obviously, but he kind of reminds me of, like, in a way, he's like Elton John, but with guitars. Oh, that was almost a Yahtzee there for us. There's that small straight that we were looking for last time. I actually should pay attention here and look at the goals for, because I am doing these in order. Like, the goal here would be to get 226 points, which means I got to play pretty decently. And I know what you're going to say, like, John, what's going to happen when we get into these, like, just absolute crazy albums, like a Tool album or something? I mean, that have really long songs. I'm sure we'll get to some crazy ones before you know it. That is something that I very heavily considered. I'm kind of obsessed with track lengths in general. It's one of my weird obsessions. I probably zero out 4 of a kind here. Come on, large straight. So this just natural, and Yahtzee is one of my obsessions as well. So this just kind of seemed like something that would scratch that itch. I need some 3s, buddy. Okay, I got to try and get this bonus at least. We've zeroed out Yahtzee. We zeroed out large straight. This is because I was yapping too much, and then we put up an awful score. That's just awful. So we didn't get anything there. We're not going to hit that perfect 100, but I think the quest to get a perfect 100 is going to be something that is interesting to watch in this series. At least for me personally, I did ask, some people I know, like, hey, if I did this YouTube series, what would you think of it? And their response was, what? So I didn't really take their thought into consideration too much. If anything, I was like, let's impress the me versus me Yahtzee guy. You can ask my wife; she'll tell you. Yeah, he was. That's kind of. I think he left a comment like, "Hey, are you going to record Yahtzee games again?" And I was already in the process of getting ready to record some stuff. But I hadn't really thought too much about Yahtzee. But bringing awareness to the game is always something I'm willing to do. When I was in college, one of my professors asked me what was one of my like ambitious goals for life. And I said, I would love to like run like a full scale Yahtzee tournament, like a worldwide big event Yahtzee tournament. We don't need that many points here, so I'm okay zeroing out Yahtzee, but we are really struggling with some of these rolls here. We need 3s and 5s. I don't really need that many of either one. Oh, perfect. We get a couple 5s to maybe make this score decent. Yeah, there we go. So no Yahtzees, but 233 is a nice total. Puts us 22 points in the normalization score that I've created. But yeah, I mean, it's a game I don't really get tired of. I think it's easy to learn, difficult to master. It's like a numerical chess, except maybe a little bit more asynchronous because obviously you're not pitted up against someone. And when you are, your results are still independent of each other. It's like golf. It's like that debate. Is golf a sport or a game? You're not really affecting the other guy that you're playing with or against. Not directly, anyway. I guess you can kind of mentally. Oh, there's a Yahtzee. Perfect. I've deliberately made the Yahtzee Frenzy bonus hard to acquire. And the reason I did that is because we are going to get into situations, 5s, where songs are long and we're going to need to play aggressive. And I think that is going to kind of nurture that mindset. for instance, here, and again, this is because this is the first episode and I'm not paying attention. We have to get 343 points to match this score, and that's a pretty high total. We're on a good, like, we have, well, I'm speaking too soon here, but we've already got one Yahtzee in the book, so, any other Yahtzee that we were to get at this point would be worth 100 points. So you see, I'm going to try to hope for another 5 here. Wow. Incredible that we're not getting some of these other categories. Amazing. I guess I'll go for full house and maybe 6s. This is one of the worst scores I think I've ever put up while having a Yahtzee already in my pocket. 188. So we definitely didn't get that one. So that's a red stripe for us there, and not the good kind, not the good Jamaican beer. Not our hardest song coming up. Anyway, back to Eric Clapton. So, full house. I get distracted with because I'm just trying to win, baby. Eric Clapton definitely kind of is like one of those artists that I think is more talented and more influential than maybe popular. I mean, certainly there's some good songs, but I think he's just well known for basically, his guitar playing, probably a little bit of the unplugged, the thing with his son, which I kind of made the Tears in Heaven reference. I mean, that's obviously a sad thing if you know what I'm talking about, but certainly a Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he probably will be if not, or he should be if not. Let's go for 4. So I'm trying to get 250 points, which I indicated is about average for optimal play. That's very good to get those 4s there. But yeah, as an artist I would listen to every day, probably not really something that I'm necessarily seeking out, but we know he's good. We know he's got moxie. Oh man, I do need 250. This is a tough call. Do I zero out Yahtzee? I think I do, and just kind of cut my losses here. I guess we kind of have to go for the large straight. Okay, we need 4 of a kind. This could be a very, very good game. I was hoping to pull out that one. So we're 2 for 5. We move on to the second half, I guess, where the songs are definitely longer. So how did I come across picking this one? Because there are tens of thousands of albums that I could choose from. Like, why this one in particular, you're probably asking. Well, I wanted to, first of all, I didn't really pull anybody for suggestions because I knew that if I explained the concept of the album, they would try to deliberately give me hard records to do. So I wanted to do records that I would consider were somewhat normal. And what I mean by that is they're not like super complicated in length or number of tracks. So I was like, okay, let's start, because I lean more towards rock music. Let's go that route, and let's kind of go maybe chronologically until we start getting some suggestions, which will allow us to deviate from that. So what I did was I looked up, I was like, let's just look up all of the historical Billboard rock charts and see what albums were there. And so I looked at the number 1 like songs. Obviously those in themselves are not albums. And I said, okay, what album are these from? And this was the first one that came up because there was a song on here, and I think it was I Can't Stand It, which we just played, was the first number 1 hit on like ever on one of these, a newly at the time created Billboard rock chart. I can't remember the name of it. You can look all this stuff up. Like, that's certainly something you can do. Really wants me to go for a Yahtzee there. We are struggling greatly. There's a full house, so that saves us. There's another one. We need 4s, actually. So if you could throw a couple of those. No. So that's how I came up with that. So I just got to go down that list. This is a terrible performance, by the way. I've focused so much on explaining the concept. We have a 393 point quota coming up here. This song, if you're doing the math, that's 6.5 minutes, which is on the long side of what a track should be. And we would need to play kind of aggressively here to do that. We're also not really making much headway towards the total runtime, so I'm tempted to start going for broke here. I think it's the only way we're gonna beat the runtime, as the series title indicates. We're getting some just crap rolls though, I think, with like really low ones and twos, and then we get something like this where it's like, what do we do with this? Like, obviously I need fives and fours, but take a chance because we're just barely surviving on the left side. You need 63 points on the left side to get the 35 point bonus, which we have not been doing a good job at all. If you're doing the math, that means you're averaging like 3 of each of these on the left. I think we probably want to go for the large straight there. We don't get it. I'm fine burning fours because I really just think we're not gonna beat this song without getting multiple Yahtzee. So I'm okay putting up an atrocious score, just to hold out hope that we will eventually get these Yahtzees coming to us. And now at this point, it's like clearly we're not. So I'm just gonna throw numbers out here. This is a pretty bad showing by me on all of these games so far. We have had a grand total of 2 Yahtzees. I'm putting up just like if you were watching the late night Yahtzee thing that I was doing last year, it was I was not putting up scores like this. So I'm a little bit rusty, probably a little bit nervous that this is an entirely new concept that I'm not quite sure how to approach. Let's get our fortunes to turn around. There we go. There's a Yahtzee to start things off. We need 266 points on this one to beat this song. We have only beaten 2 songs. And I would consider this, when I looked at the tracks and the track lengths, I consider this, just by looking at it, I was like, this is probably going to be a challenge to get the Yahtzees, but not a challenge to beat the total runtime. And I'll probably get 7 of the songs, I would say. That was kind of how I was looking at it. That's clearly not the case, but we're putting up a pretty good score here. I would like to see another Yahtzee, though, if possible. That would really help us out in the grand scheme of things, if we want to even approach beating the album runtime, which seems like a pipe dream now, and maybe even getting the bonus on the left in this game seems like a pipe dream, because we're behind by 2 points. Let's see. I'll go with ones just because, I know how fickle it can be to go for a large straight. We need 266. Get a 4 of a kind here, another 5. Oh my. We basically would have to hope for a Yahtzee here. We did get 4 of a kind, which is cool. Okay, so our last shot here for the closing track, Rita May. And I just realized how awful the font looks down there. So I'll probably do some changing of the conditional formatting for next episode. So if you're having a hard time seeing it, I mean, the action's right here, baby. This is what you're meant to focus on. This and this and this. But I get it. It could be somewhat distracting to look at my face the whole time instead of looking at the statistics right below me. Final game of the night. We need 305 points. Mr. 305, just like Pitbull. They call me Mr. 304. It's a West Virginia area code. Full House will take. Play this kind of just like a normal. Try to put ourselves in a position to get a Yahtzee. We definitely will need one. 2. Okay, so we're like on perfect pace. We need 3 ones to get that left-hand side bonus. I'll probably go for it. Okay, we got it. Now we can focus on, do we want to go for 4 of a kind here? sixes in tow. We also have large straight we have to consider. I think I give up on the Yahtzee. That was probably a mistake, though, because I could have got one there. But 3, 221. Let's take a look at the damage. This was pretty bad. Barely not even a passing grade. That's a failing grade. So we got about 80% to the way of the album Runtime itself. We only got 2 of the 9 songs, and we only got 3 out of 13 Yahtzees that I was going for. So, not the best, but it's a start. That was another ticket by Eric Clapton. You know, whether the dice cooperated with us, I think they kind of left me stranded there. You know, this was all about staying steady, and we failed at that. You know, not any heroics, just panic, falling behind. If you like this episode, you know, there's plenty more to come. We're going to be sticking with the rock theme for a while, I think. I forget what I have queued up next, but it's, you know, from the same era. I think this album came out in 1981, which I'm not that old, but we're going to be starting there and kind of chronologically going through the 80s, the 90s, and, you know, you can kind of figure out the rest. So thanks for watching. If you enjoy this, please subscribe. Feel free to leave suggestions on albums that you would like to see, and while I can make no promises, there will be opportunities to throw them into the rotation, so feel free to leave those suggestions, and I'll see you next time.